How similar is the Lauten Clarion to the BCM-104? Inquiring minds want to know.
From the mind of Mark Yoshimoto Nemkov.
So after the Lauten Clarion review dropped, Danny Lightning wrote this comment. He said, I got a weird feeling that this sounds very similar to the BCM-104. And I was like, hey, game on, let's find out. That's a great question. So this is the Lauten Clarion. And this is the BCM-104. And I think right away you can tell that they do sound different. Now, on a consumer level speaker like an iPhone speaker, there may not be that much of a difference, but overall, if you're listening with headphones, you'll hear that this is a much more neutral sound. And this is a lot more mid-forward. But there is more going on in this signal than I had first thought. Now, when I was setting up volume levels for both of these, and they're both going through the MT-48 with no EQ on it. And when I was setting up volume levels for both these mics, I heard something that I hadn't heard before. And I kind of went and I looked in Prism, in TDR Prism. And I noticed something really strange. Well, not strange, but something again that I hadn't noticed before. So look at these frequency graphs. The one on the bottom is the Clarion, and the one on the top is the BCM-104. Now, you'll notice that the BCM-104 has a lot of energy going on around 10 hertz. Now, that is not helpful energy for voiceover. That is definitely stuff that has to go before you can really process your voiceover correctly. So there is this low-end bloom that exists on the 104 that does not exist with the Clarion, again with no EQ on it. There is a 60 hertz high-pass filter on both of them, and still with this 60 hertz high-pass filter on, you're still getting a lot of this low-end energy. And it finally occurred to me something I hadn't even considered before. The BCM-104 was designed primarily for broadcast, right? For radio, for TV, but really for radio. And it really does have more of a radio sound than the Clarion does. The Clarion is a little bit more, it's definitely more mid-forward. And it definitely has more detail, I think, in the highs. And I think overall it's a more musical sounding microphone. Notice how I couldn't remember the word microphone. So this has more of a broadcast sound. It really has more of a warmer, smoother sound in the bottom end. And I think that really dovetails with the desire to create a big radio sound. Now, much like most of us really love the sound of a big old condenser mic, right? An RE20, even an SM7B with its scoop in it. But we like that big condenser sound. That's a big radio sound. And I think you're definitely getting more of that. You're definitely getting more of a radio profile with the 104 than you are with the Clarion. The Clarion has a much tighter low end. And I think overall it has really, you're hearing more of a tighter signal because this has a transformer in it. So you're hearing more of that transformer compression, that natural transformer squish that you get in there. Than you do here with the transformerless BCM-104. Also, the other thing that I think is really apparent here is that the BCM-104 has an edge-terminated capsule. So it's definitely more of a neutral sounding capsule, whereas the Clarion has a center-terminated K67 variant. And so with a center-terminated capsule, you definitely get a more mid-forward sound because the way the tension is held in that capsule, because you basically have the center screw, right? And you have the tension that goes around it. So you have more even tension across the diaphragm than with an edge-terminated capsule where the tension is around the outside ring. So you're definitely getting more of a neutral sound here and more of a mid-forward sound here. So again, this had never really occurred to me, but the BCM-104, the BCM-104 definitely has more of that radio sound. It has more of a broadcaster sound, and right out of the box, because again, there's no EQ on either of these. So what you're hearing is just the sound of the mic, plugged right into the MT-48. So the overall broadcasty sound of this is really, I think, very specialized and very appropriate for broadcasting, for content creation. And I think this is why more content creators are finding the BCM-104 and using the BCM-104, because it gives you more of that larger-than-life broadcasty sound. Whereas I think that this is really more, more accurate to the source, but still very flattering. So, are they different? I think that they're very different. But, I think that the BCM-104 is really more of a specialty mic. I think it's perfect for content creators, for broadcasters. But this may actually explain why I never really had a lot of luck auditioning for voiceover jobs on the 104. This is one of those mics where I was like, I really love the sound of this mic. But why doesn't it win auditions? And I think really because I hadn't even identified this sound as more of a broadcasty sound. And so I think when you're auditioning for voiceover jobs and they're listening to it and they're like, oh, we don't want a radio sound, we just want somebody talking sound. Something like this is definitely a better choice for an audition like that. But again, if you're doing content creation, if you're making audiobooks, if you're telling stories, this kind of larger, warmer, and not necessarily really super tight, really super detailed low end. I mean, you can hear it. There's I don't want to call it a smear, but there's really more of a friendliness in the low end. And I think that bodes well. If you're doing like long form stuff, like you want somebody to hang around for, 6 minutes, 6.5 minutes now, watching your video, or you're doing, radio or doing interviews. Whereas this, I think, is a more malleable sound that I use to do more like voiceover stuff. So this is voiceover sound right here, and this is radio sound over here, at least in my opinion. But what do you think? What do you think? Danny, what do you think? What do you think of the 104 versus the Clarion? I gotta know. So, the Clarion and the 104. They're different horses for different courses, but you know what? As a specialized beast, the 104, I think, is very, very cool. I like it a lot. And now I truly understand what to use it for content creation. And this will remain my main daily driver for voiceover. So, I need to know your opinion. All right? Leave a comment. Until next time, this is Mark Yoshimoto Nemkov, fading to black.